Good morning, guys. Right, I want to talk about this great big red candle that happened about 2 hours ago. A few people in chat were saying that it is the contract selling tokens. It wasn't, but the contract did sell some tokens at exactly the same moment because the person that created this candle triggered the contract to sell tokens. So we're going to look at that and we're going to see exactly what happened. There is a new feature on PooCoin which is really awesome, and I want to bring this to your attention because you might not have noticed it yet. I think it appeared yesterday. It's this here. So we got tokens. This is the transactions at the moment going on. We've got wallet transactions, which is whatever wallet you're currently logged into. At the moment, I'm logged into the developer wallet, which is also the wallet used for marketing. I'm going to come back to this in a sec. We have the buyers. So these are recent buyers between these dates, listed by the quantity they buy. And then we have the sellers. Now we can see in here that someone with this wallet sold $4.2 thousand worth of Genius Boy. So that's the one we're going to dig into. Now we know that this candle here happened about 2 hours ago. So if I go into this wallet, you will see that about 2 hours ago, 2 hours and 11 minutes ago, they sold their tokens. They sold 24.5 trillion tokens. That was everything they owned. Almost 3 days ago, they had 3 buys. So they've bought 3 times, they've sold once. So we're going to dig into their transactions. But I want to show you they currently have 0. So they've sold everything. So we had a whale. They bought 24 trillion tokens in 3 transactions. And then they dumped all of those in one go today. And they got over 4 grand doing it. So this is the transaction hash for their sale. And we can see in here, their wallet address is this one here. So it starts with 0x6c6. Now, if you dig into this, you will find that wallet address is right here, 0x6c6. And it received from PancakeSwap 9.8 BNB. So that's the actual sale of tokens going from PancakeSwap being turned into BNB and the BNB being sent to this person. Now that also triggered the tokenomics on the contract as well. So some tokens were processed into liquidity and some tokens were processed into marketing, which is what all the other stuff is on this page. Now where those tokens come from is when you buy or you sell, there is a small fee. The fee is taken in tokens and it's actually added to the contract itself. The contract can hold tokens and it can hold BNB, and they build up in there until they hit a certain threshold. When they hit that threshold, they are processed into liquidity and marketing. Now this sell that this guy did, where he got almost 10 BNB, it triggered that process to happen. So inside the transaction hash for that giant red candle, you're going to see the developer wallet doing things because it did the tokenomics. So if we come on down here, you can see that what it actually did, it created some Pancake LP, which is what happens when it creates auto liquidity. So someone did say the contract is selling tokens, we've got a giant red candle. It wasn't the contract that caused the giant red candle. It was this guy selling, 3,900 or whatever it is, BNB's worth. I think he's got a little bit more than that because of the price of BNB changes. But what then happened is the contract processed the liquidity and the marketing. But you can see that the contract processed about 1 BNB. So it was 0.79 BNB, which got turned into, so that was tokens sold. That was then turned into BNB, which was then used for the marketing wallet and the liquidity. But the liquidity also had to take a few tokens as well and pair them together to create the liquidity pairing. So that's what happened. And I'm quite curious to find out how much he paid to get in. So let's have a look at what profits he made. So he got around about 4,000, let's say. So let's have a look at the buys. So he had 3 buys, so we'll add them up. So one of them was 3.5 BNB, so 1.4 thousand. Oh, and so he's got 1.4, and then this one as well, 1.3, so he's now on 2.7. And then this one, 300. So he put in about $3,000, and he took out this one, which was the 9.8 BNB, which is $3,900, so about $4,000. So he made some profit, not a huge profit, but he certainly took some gains from that. But unfortunately, the way that he sold did cause that giant red candle on the chart. So that's where it came from. And of course, because in the same transaction hash, stuff was processed by the contract itself, it looked like the contract was doing it, but that's not what it was. So let's now have a quick look at the in here. We're going to go over to the wallet I'm logged into, which is the developer one. Now, when this processing happens for the liquidity and the marketing, it still shows on here. It shows like a manual sale. So we have at the bottom, if I just pull down as much as I can, we've got 3 transactions. Whoops. We've got 3 transactions which are sales. And those were for roughly 1 BNB each time, but a small portion of that is in tokens, the rest of it is in BNB, which is why it says 0.78 and not 1. And if you dig into any of these, you'll see that it is the contract creating liquidity. So it's not just a straight sale, it's the processing of the tokenomics, which is what's going on right here. And on these green ones, this was a buyback. So we used that same wallet to buy some tokens. So we bought 3 BNBs worth. It then also triggered this, which was again tokenomics, and you can see here it's creating the liquidity. We then did another buyback of 2.5 BNB, and then this one here is what I did this morning just after I woke up, and it was me manually processing some of the tokens on the contract into liquidity and marketing, and you can see that that's what's going on this transaction here. So if you take the contract address, so I'll grab it from the URL. So I've got that on my clipboard. And if you go over to the contract itself and you go on read contract, go down to number 11, I think it is, and you paste that address in here and query it, it'll come back with a number. Now this is the number of tokens that are currently sitting in the contract waiting to be processed into liquidity. So if we take that number, we copy it, we go back to the chart, click on trade, and paste the number in to the number of tokens. Now this doesn't include the decimal place, so we've got to put a decimal point in. So you've got to go back 9 spaces from the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll put our decimal in there, and we can see that there's 1.27 BNB worth of tokens on the contract that have been taken from the fees on the buys and the sales, and these are earmarked for processing into liquidity. So it's going to happen, but it will take some time to happen. So if I say, how many tokens will I get for 1 BNB? I get about this many. I want to add 9 zeros on the end of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now I'm going to take this number, so I'll copy it. And if I go over to the contract itself, and I go on write contract, I'm on the developer wallet already, so I can log in. I can then go down to one of the functions, which are down here somewhere. Process, this one here, process set number of tokens to sell to add to liquidity. If I paste that number in, then the contract will process the tokens into liquidity if there is more, if there are more than that many tokens on the contract, which at the moment there are, which means that the next time someone sells, it will process these tokens into liquidity and the marketing, which is going to be roughly 0.7 BNB, because it's processing 1 BNB's worth, but some of them are processed as tokens, the rest of them have turned into BNB to create that pairing. So that's now been changed. We also have a function in here which is process, purge, swap and liquefy now. So when I say I've manually created some LP, what I do is I paste a number into here of tokens, I press the button, I'm not going to do it now, I press the button and then it triggers that function to happen whenever I tell it to, as opposed to waiting for those tokens to build up. So we adjust this number to roughly 1 BNB based on what the price of the token is doing. So if the price of the token is very high, then obviously this number of tokens will be a lot lower. If the price of the token goes down, we need to increase this number. So that's one of the ways you micromanage the contract to ensure it's always doing what you want it to do. But I just wanted to bring your attention mainly to that big red candle and just let you know what caused it, because it wasn't anything to do with the contract processing the liquidity. It wasn't selling tokens or anything like that. It was a person that dumped all of their tokens in one go. That caused a massive dump. and then that triggered the contract to also sell some tokens for the liquidity. So when people jumped into the transaction and saw the actual contract address had done something, they assumed it had done all of this, but it hadn't. So there we go. That's when these appear on the chart like this, it's because I manually did the processing of the liquidity, which was this one, but they don't always appear depending on whether the contract does it or whether I dig in and do it myself. So I've done it manually a few times, as you can see, and I've also done the buybacks, which is what these green ones are. In fact, you can't really see them there because there's actually a few together. Look, there's 3. So that was the buybacks we did, and then we did some processing of liquidity. And then we did another buyback a little bit later. Go to the end. So we did 2 more buybacks there, and then more processing of liquidity here. And then if you look at the transactions of this wallet, you'll see that what's going on with the actual BNB in it is I send it to the wallet that is for marketing that Ryan holds, and then Ryan uses it for like PooCoin adverts or the AMA that we've got scheduled for Tuesday and all that good stuff. So that's what that red candle was. So if you're worried about it, I hope that's put your mind at ease. And also, we had a whale, and they are gone. So they've sold all of their tokens. They created a very, very, very beautiful dip. And as you can see, people have taken advantage of that. So if you were looking at the contract here thinking, I missed this one, it's too late to buy in, then the guy that had bought in before you got a 24 trillion wallet worth about $4,000 and dumped all of their tokens, made it nice and cheap. So you could get in at a nice cheap price. So that is about 800. And that is 2,000. So that's nice of them. They've dumped. You can now buy. And when it gets back to where it was before they dumped, you have more than 2x your bag. So I think we can all say thank you to the whale that dumped their tokens and put Genius Boy on sale for the rest of us to buy it up, because we know what's coming. We know our future plans. We know the roadmap. We know that we've got this game in development. And we know that this here is going to be tiny compared to what is next. So thanks for dumping and putting the token on sale. And I can't buy anymore because I'm at max wallet now. But if I could, I most certainly would have been buying up some of this dip. But I'm sure some of you guys are some of the little green candles in here that have been taking advantage of that sale. Right, guys, I'll see you all soon. Take care and bye-bye.